today's video, we are going to be setting up the Zhiyun Crane 4. In my last video, I did a unboxing. You guys can check that out in the link in the description or click the pop-up that's on top of the video here. And let's go ahead and open this up. Now, we talked about all these accessory items and things like that that are all the way back there, and we'll get into all of that stuff when we start to set this thing up. But let's go ahead and flip this open, get this foam pad off like we did in the last video, and let's go ahead and try to assemble what we kind of already assembled in the last video, which was just the legs onto the gimbal, and we didn't do the wrist strap, but we will get into that right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and unvelcro the legs, unvelcro the base, and that's already unvelcroed. Let's take the wrist strap out as well. Okay, so you have your gimbal, you have your legs that are going to go right into the bottom of your gimbal, and then we will apply the wrist strap as well. Let's go ahead and take the legs, twist legs into the bottom of the gimbal. Then we're going to spread them out so that way that the gimbal can stand pretty much on its own. Just want to make sure that the gimbal is all set to go here. What we're going to do is take this guy here, and if you can tell, there is a little screw on the end of this, and what we need out of the bag is the Allen key. So let's go ahead and find the Allen key that is provided with the set here. Go ahead and put this thing on. So I found the bag with the accessories that we need, and for my gimbal setup, or my gimbal package that I got, the lens mount is inside with the Allen key. So let's take that out. This is the Allen key that you need. And near the legs, you will see this portion right here. It's kind of all grooved in. You want to take that side of your wrist strap and you want to kind of line it up to where it's going to line up with your wrist strap. So I'm going to say right about here, and then we're going to take the Allen key and start screwing it in. And you want to make sure that the teeth match up with the teeth on the wrist strap. Looks pretty good from here. I'm not going to go too tight, but I want to make sure that it's secure, and that's pretty good for now. So what you can do with the wrist rest is you can orient it up by twisting this knob right here, or orient it down. And you probably want it more down than anything when you are filming, because if you're doing underslung mode and you have the camera tilted down, if you're doing like vortex mode or something like that, or if you're trying to get a low shot, you probably want it a little bit lower, but it's all personal preference really at the end of the day. So I'll kind of keep it right here for now, just in a general position where it's not too high up or too low, just for the purpose of making everything kind of balanced out. Let's go ahead right now. Let's get the handle on the other side. If you flip your Zhiyun Crane 4 over to the other side, it has the same exact teeth over here. Let's go ahead and grab our arm, and let's do the same exact thing. So I'm going to fit the arm and the teeth on both ends so they match up, and I'm going to take my Allen key here and try to get it on as best as I possibly can. So I'm putting it on more upright than anything, straight on and vertical to the gimbal. And there we go. I think that's a pretty preferred placement for now. And what you can do is you can rotate this latch here, and you can move the arm in any way that you want. So if I wanted to kind of dual wield like this, I can lock it down like that. Or if I'm doing like an underslung mode, I would probably want it about here, because that way I can take my gimbal, tilt it down when it's all set up, and do underslung like that. So you have your options of what's more comfortable for you and what you need for certain types of filming. Another thing that you can do is loosen this, and then you can raise. So if you unloosen that, you can raise the arm, and then again, adjust it to wherever you want it to be using the raise and lower feature. And all I have to do is lock it back into place, lock this back into place, and there you go. So for right now, I'm going to lower this back down because I don't know how much space that I really need to set up the gimbal, but I'm just going to set it back to underslung position. And what you're going to notice when we start to set this thing up is that there's locking points here, here, and also here on the other side. So right now the gimbal is locked, which means that none of these joints will unlock and swing out. So let's go ahead and unlock this gimbal. For the first one, what we're going to do is we are going to unlock this guy here. So all you're going to do is switch this down to unlock. It's going to click, and you're going to be able to swing it to your right. And you want it to go to your right because you want to make sure that the logo, Crane, is going to be on your right side. If Crane is upside down, then you have it in the wrong position. So I'm going to go ahead now and then lock this joint here. And it's going to be now underneath. So you're going to go underneath and then click it to lock. The next one that I'm going to unlock is this one right here where the camera sits. So this is going to swing down and there's a locking mechanism right here. So what you're going to do is switch that to unlock, and then that's going to swing down. Now what you want to do is make sure that it goes back to lock, and you're just going to push that upwards if your gimbal is facing this way. Now there's another lock on the pan which you can unlock, but we don't need that right now necessarily. But if I do unlock it, you are now allowed to swivel back and forth on that joint right there. But I'm going to lock it for now. So what we are going to be setting up on the Zhiyun Crane 4 is this guy right here. And this guy is the Canon EOS R6 Mark II. Now what I have on here right now is a cage, a shotgun microphone, and a 24 to 70 millimeter lens. Right now I have a old base plate from my Zhiyun Weebill S that I like to use when I'm vlogging because it gives me kind of like a hand grip, and I can rotate the zoom in and out, and it gives me this nice kind of handle for when I'm doing vlogs or anything where the camera's facing me. Other than that, I haven't really used the Weebill in a while. It comes in handy for other tasks. So this is what I'm going to be using for my videography and ventures. And this is the way that I'm going to have it set up. I'm going to have the mic set to the right side of the camera, and I'm also going to have this 24 to 70 millimeter lens on it and the cage. I might have to take off this base plate just for the fact of it having to balance out on the gimbal. But I like to have this base plate here because on my tripod, I can pop this out and then shoot vertically on my tripod if I want to. But we will have to see how it goes as we set it up. In the bag that you get from the package deal is this. These are all the base plates that you actually need for filming and for putting your camera on to the gimbal. So let's take it out of the package here. And this is what it may look like. I guess some packages come with this taken apart, but you get a base plate here, you get another base plate, and then you get a third one at the bottom. So that's what this looks like kind of put together. We're going to go ahead and take this base plate off because that's your number 1 base plate. This is going to be your number 2 base plate, this longer version. And then this bottom one that's connected to the middle one, which is our second one, we want to make sure that this goes on last. I got the first base plate, I got the second base plate, and I got the third base plate right here connected to the second one. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I'm going to unlatch it. I'm also going to press this button, and that should release that base plate. I'm also going to take this third base plate off, which is connected to the middle one, the second one. Unlatch it and press the button, and then that should come off. So in order, you should have 1 as the small, 2 as the largest, and 3 as the medium. So in the bag where you found your Allen keys, you'll also find some screws that you will need. And these are the screws that you will need to set up your base plates. It also comes with this little screwdriver in a sense, and that's what it looks like. So I'm going to be using this guy to screw in and tighten the base plates accordingly. On the bottom of my camera, you can see that I have some input areas for my base plates, which are on my cage. Now, if you don't have a cage, this bolt right here is actually connected to the middle of my camera, which has the opening for the screws that you will use. I'm going to try to attach it to my cage instead. Again, if you don't have a cage, you can still access the screw hole on the camera. So I'm going to take base plate number 1 and I'm going to pop the screw through the bottom opening, and I'm just going to kind of work that screw in by hand, and now it's popped through the top. Now I'm going to take my camera and I'm going to find the slot that we need for this thing to sit properly onto the camera. So I'm screwing it in right now just by hand, kind of feathering it in. And what I want to do too is make sure that the base plate is going to sit flush. I want to make sure that the base plate is flush with the camera cage. And if you didn't have a camera cage, you'd be actually allowed a little bit more space. So then you should have the base plate flush against the back of the camera. But in this case, I am only limited with so much space, and I have to kind of compensate for that fact. Now I'm going to take my little tool that they gave you and go the rest of the way. I want to make sure that's nice and flush up against the camera cage, or in your case, probably the back of the camera. So it's nice and squared off. Tighten it down, and there you go. The latch is going to be on your left side of the camera. That should allow you to clip on the next base plate. So now the first base plate is on. The second base plate has to also go on. So we're going to pick this guy up, and we are going to get this guy fixated. And before you slide it through, you want to make sure that this little hole on the second base plate is facing forward towards your lens, because that's going to be for your lens support if you have a large lens like I do on my camera. So we're going to slip it through. We have it on. We're going to go ahead and then match it up nice and flush up against the back of this camera, and we're going to lock it down. So now that base plate will not go anywhere. So now we're going to take this base plate and then slide it in. There's an arrow right here on your base plate to make sure that you know that it has to go forward. And we're going to go ahead and slide this guy forward onto the base plate. So now we got the base plate on. And we want to make sure that it's locked down and nice and flush up against the back of the rest of the base plates. And there you go. So the rest of the screws here are some extras or some other sizes. If your camera has a 1/4 inch or another size, these are just going to be some extra ones for you. So now we have our gimbal back in place, and what we're going to do is take our camera and then slide this part of the base plate onto this portion right here. But before we do that, we want to make sure that this silver latch is all the way back to the unlock position, and then we're going to slide it on to this rail right here. Now I left this base plate on the side of my camera. Let's see if it's going to hold that. So I'm going to lock this down for now. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that your camera is nice and flush up against this side right here. But because I have another base plate in the way, we'll kind of see how this works with this base plate. But I'm making sure also that this is in the full lock position. And it's just about locked in there as much as I can get it. We're going to leave it like that for now. And if we have to take that base plate off, we can, and we will. Just to make sure that the camera is all the way flush up against this joint right here. Now, the first balancing point that you want to check is the balancing point that is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock this balancing point with this lever right here. And you can tell that my camera is tipping forward. So what I'm going to have to do is now balance this out by taking this base plate, this long base plate, and shifting it further back, because my camera right now is very front heavy because of this lens. So it's tilting down, as you can tell. And this is not me doing that. This is the gravity and the weight of the camera trying to force the camera down. So I'm going to have to go ahead and unlatch the base plate. over here on the back side, and now slide this back. Now I want to get to the point where this camera is going to sit basically up and down right about here. I'm going to go ahead and then relock this in. So once your camera is locked in and balanced on this axis here, that's step one. Now, step two is where we are going to use this one up in front, this little latch, and then we are going to either shift the camera up higher on this plate here or bring it down low. But for now, as we can tell, that this base plate is all the way down low on this arm here. Unlatch it, and what we're going to do is we're going to shift this back, the camera backwards just like this. And what we want to make happen is we want the camera for this balancing point to have the camera be able to face upwards at any angle and stay there, because right now it just keeps going down. So without me holding this up, this should be able to hold itself up in this position. So I'm going to go ahead and shift this upwards. So I'm going to shift this backwards and kind of balance this thing out a little bit, trying to pull it so where the camera is going to sit perfectly upright just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and then lock it down. And it's going to be different for every single camera that you use. But if you have a good idea of where your camera's sitting now, as you're setting it up, you can use these numbers that are on the side here and kind of give yourself a little mental note. Again, it's just all micro movements at this point, which can be kind of tricky just because it can shift really quickly if you push too hard. Maybe right about there is good. I'm going to go ahead and lock it down. Okay, so let's go ahead and lock this and move on to the next one. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is balance out this portion here that is on the tilt access point. So what we're going to do is we are going to unlock that one, which is underneath. You don't want to unlock this yet. You want to unlock the locking point here. And this is where you want to balance out how it's sitting right now. So the weight distribution is going to the right. So I want to move this arm and I want to shift it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock this now. And I'm going to shift it over. See how this goes. Okay, so that looks pretty good for now, I think. I can maybe shift it over just another hair back. And again, you may go past your balancing point a couple times. It's just all about getting it to where you need it to be. Still shifting to the left. Let's go ahead and lock it down from here. And there we go. And now the last thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that this piece right here is going to be balanced, which is the roll. This may be a little bit tricky because it is kind of tricky. So now what we're going to do is unlock this. We're going to unlock the motor here. And we unlock this motor over here. So what we're going to do is then take the gimbal and we are going to tilt it to the side, see if the camera moves, which it is right now. So it's trying to go down this direction. We want to make sure that the camera is facing straight forward if we tilt it left or right. So it's really trying to swing itself left. To do this, to counterbalance this the proper way, is we want to unlock this part here. And if it's going too far to the left, we want to bring it back. I want to see it kind of go more towards the right. And it keeps going to the left. So we're going to do it again, unlock this. I'm going to kind of shift it around. See what happens when we're close. Now it's going to the right. Let's bring it back a little bit. Bring it forward, not too much. Just a little bit. So slightly going to the left, hair back. And that's pretty good. The camera now is staying face forward after all the balancing out. And that's what we want. All right, you guys, so that's how you set up and balance your gimbal with a camera and plus a camera cage. And we actually figured out that with that base plate over on the side, right over here, this extra base plate that I slapped onto my camera, it actually still is able to be balanced out, and it's really cool that that turned out the way that I liked it to turn out. That's what it looks like. You guys, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. I'll be glad to answer those questions for you. If you want to see the next video, which is how to program your gimbal to connect to your camera, I will be glad to do that video for you as well. You guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If it helped you out in any way, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to see more on this gimbal and more of what I do outside of YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. As per always, it's been real. Keep it real. You know what it is. Deuces. Shoo.